December arrives like a deep blue cloak, wrapped tight around the world. The days grow short, the nights stretch long, and the air carries that crisp, almost ancient hush that only winter knows. Yet beneath all that quiet, something stirs, soft, glowing, familiar. A shimmer of celebration, old as fire itself. Across time and across cultures, our ancestors recognized this month as our threshold, the turning of the wheel, the moment when darkness reaches its peak before the light begins its slow return. And so December became a lantern-lit tapestry of festivals, each one a spark in the longest night. In one home, candles are gently placed in windows to call back the sun. In another, offerings of bread and greenery are left for spirits and ancestors who wander on winter winds. Further still, communities gather round great fires, singing to warm the cold earth and honor the endless cycle of birth, death, and renewal. You can almost hear the echoes, ritual drums, whispered blessings, the crackle of evergreen boughs on a ceremonial fire. From Saturnalia's joyful chaos to Yule's quiet reverence, from Disciplot's honoring of powerful women and ancestors to the celebratory feasting of Modronit's, December holds a chorus of ancient voices reminding us that even in the darkest season, the world is still very much alive. Tonight, we travel through those traditions. We walk through the hearth to the heart. We walk from hearth to hearth, gathering the stories, symbols, foods, and meanings woven into this sacred month. And as we explore the pagan holidays of December, we step into the shared truth they carry. Light returns, community matters, and magic is strongest when the world is still.
Welcome, witches, pagans, heathens, spiritualists, and anyone interested in living sustainably. This is
Old Ways, New Days, where the old ways meet the good dirt.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nell. And each week we explore the sacred art of living close to the land. From compost to covens, chickens to charms,
We're reclaiming self-sufficiency, seasonal living, and ancestral wisdom.
whether you're stirring your cauldron or your soup pot,
This is a space for wild-hearted folk walking the homesteading path with intention, magic, and muddy boots. Hi, Nell.
hi,
How are you?
wonderful.
Good. Sorry about the
words.
words again.
You and your big words and your words of different languages that we have to look up and figure out the pronunciations.
I know.
You're lucky that I am actually studying German, so I can understand some things and how to pronounce things.
Yeah. So we finally got snow here.
Yeah. You know what snow stands for, right?
No, what does snow stand for?
No one wants.
Oh, well, let's not swear. How about
Stuff no one wants.
There you go.
Stuff no one wants.
All right. Okay, so you ready to explore the holidays that envelop December and the darkest part of the year and the coldest part of the year?
Depending on where you're located.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with Yule, which is the rebirth of the sun. Let's begin in the cold north, where winter was not a metaphor, but a matter of survival. For the Norse, Anglo-Saxons, and Germanic peoples, the winter solstice marked the festival of Yule, a 12-day celebration that began on the longest night and stretched into the new year. Yule, or Yule in Old Norse, was both solemn and celebratory. It honored the death of the old sun and the birth of the new. The sun had been retreating since midsummer, growing weaker with each passing day. But on the solstice, it stopped. It turned, and though the cold would linger for months, the light had begun its return. At the heart of Yule was the Yule log, a massive piece of oak, ash, or birch, carefully chosen and brought into the home with ceremony. It was lit from a piece of the previous year's log, symbolizing continuity and the unbroken cycle of life. The log would burn through the 12 nights, and its ashes were kept for protection and fertility magic in the coming year. The evergreen tree, too, held sacred significance. Fir, pine, and spruce remained green even in the depths of winter, symbols of enduring life and the promise of spring's return. Homes were decorated with boughs of holly, ivy, and mistletoe, each plant carrying its own magic. Holly, with its sharp leaves and blood-red berries, representing protection and the masculine solar energy. Ivy, winding and evergreen, symbolized the feminine and the eternal cycle. And mistletoe, the plant that grows between earth and sky, neither rooted nor free, was considered a gift from the gods, sacred to Frigga, and used in rituals of peace and fertility. The gods honored during Yule were many. Odin, the Allfather, was said to lead the wild hunt across the winter sky, a ghostly procession of spirits, ancestors, and the restless dead. To be caught outside during the hunt was dangerous, but offerings left at doorsteps could earn favor and protection. Freyr, the god of harvest and fertility, was honored with feasting and toasts, his blessings invoked for the crops to come. And Suna, the Norse sun goddess, was welcomed back as the wheel turned and her light began to grow once more. Feasting was central to Yule. Tables groaned under the weight of roasted boar, the sacred animal of Freyr. The boar's head, garlanded with herbs and apples, was often the centerpiece of the feast. There was also baked bread. There was also bread baked in the shape of the sun, honey cakes sweetened with the last of autumn's harvest, spiced ale and mead infused with cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg. Nuts, symbols of hidden life, and dried fruits were shared as tokens of abundance. Every bite was an act of defiance against the scarcity of winter and a prayer for plenty in the year ahead. Yule was a time when family and community drew close, when oaths were sworn and bonds renewed. It was a celebration night of the light's victory, It was a celebration not of the light's victory, but of its perseverance, a reminder that even in our darkest seasons, the spark endures.
So, like with the Yule log, I know a lot of people still celebrate that.
Yes.
And some people even make one and eat it.
Oh, as a Yule log cake?
Yes.
I have never been able to successfully roll a cake into a Yule log shape, although I have tried many times.
Maybe we'll have to try that this year.
Yes.
Challenge accepted. So, disabrupt. Honoring the powerful women and the ancestral line. The night of disabrupt lives in the deep winter darkness, a time when the veil between past and present feels thinner than the frost on the glass. In the Old Norse lands, this wasn't a quiet celebration, it was a solemn, potent ritual dedicated to the Disir, the collective spirits of women who watched over the family, the land, and the fate of the people. The Disir were mothers, grandmothers, and foremothers, but they were also guardians, warriors, seers, and protectors. Some were the spirits of departed ancestors, others were older still, ancient goddesses of the land, luck, and lineage. To honor them was to honor the unseen hands guiding the household, the fierce feminine forces woven through one's bloodline and destiny. Traditionally, families set a sacred space within the home of the farmstead, or offerings of Traditionally, families set a sacred space within the home or the farmstead. Offerings of food, ale, or mead were given with gratitude and humility. A candle or torch often burned to call the Disir near, its flame symbolizing the strength and wisdom passed down through generations. Winters were harsh, unpredictable, and often unforgiving. So asking for the protection of the ancestral women was a way of ensuring the family's filga, or luck, would endure until spring. Modern practitioners might honor Disabult by lighting candles for their foremothers, placing photographs or heirlooms on an altar, or preparing a meal that carries family memory. It is a night for remembering the women who shaped us, those by blood, those by choice, and those who carried wisdom long before our names were ever spoken. It is the season of stillness, but also the season of listening. And on Disabult, the ancestors whisper back.
So my family tradition was cutout cookie, like painted cutout cookies, and I still have all of the cutouts.
So the cookie cutters?
The cookie cutters, but they're like 50 years old. And
are they all like bent out of shape? And...
Well, they were plastic.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and so there's a couple I've had to glue together because they broke.
Got brittle and shattered.
Which is sad because you cannot find them anymore. Right. Specifically those shapes and those designs.
Mm-hmm. I remember the ones that used to have like the imprint on them.
Yes, that's what these.
Those.
Yep, they have the imprint. So if you make the dough thick enough, you can get the imprint onto the cookie, and then you take your egg wash with your colors.
Yep.
And you paint with brushes.
That would be fun.
It was the best childhood memories I have ever had.
One thing that my mom, I remember making with her is rosettes.
Okay.
And I love them. They're so good. Just fresh out of the fryer and sprinkle some powdered sugar on them. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I have a friend who makes the krumkaka and the rosettes and the kumla or whatever. Yeah, all the things.
All the things.
It was always my favorite to go to her place.
Yeah, one thing. Well, my family hasn't done this in a few years now, but growing up, we would always make lefse. And so we would have, one of my aunts would make the potato balls, the other aunt would roll them out, and another one would flip them. And it was definitely a task. And
I mean, I thought it was bad just making, rolling out all of the cookie dough and pressing them, and then making sure you got them off the counter to put them on the cookie tray.
Right.
And half the time they got smashed.
One year we were making cookies down at my grandma's, and we made stained glass window cookies.
Oh, those are pretty.
And I had the task of breaking up because we used Jolly Ranchers and Lifesavers for the stained glass.
Oh.
And I was breaking up the Jolly Ranchers and the Lifesavers, and Grandma was upstairs, and she's like, "What are you guys doing down there?" "We're breaking up candy."
See, it's those good memories that we want to relive, and
it was funny.
Yeah, we need to pass on. So let's continue though. So
all right.
The next holiday. Oh goodness. Modranich.
Modranhit.
Say it again.
Modranhit.
All right. The Mother's Night and the Feast of New Blessings. On the eve of the winter solstice, long before the sun turns its face back toward the world, another celebration flickers to life. Modranhit. Or Mother's Night. Bede, the early medieval scholar, recorded this sacred night among the Anglo-Saxons. A festival honoring the mothers, the matronea, divine and ancestral beings who nurtured, blessed, and protected the tribe. While Disablut is often somber and ancestral, Modranich carries a different energy. It is gentler, luminous, warm. A night that celebrates the mothers who bring life, who hold the hearth, who weave the future in their hands. It honors the divine feminine, not only in the ancestors, but in the cosmic forces that guide birth, fate, protection, and the turning of the year. Families would gather around the fire, sharing foods that symbolized abundance and comfort. Fresh bread or cakes baked in the shapes of suns or spirals, meats or stews savored slowly through the night, warm spiced ale or mead shared as a communal blessing. Children were told stories of guardian mothers, ancestral protectors, and goddesses who watched over the land. Offerings were made to invite good fortune for the coming year, blessings of fertility, health, safety, and prosperity. It was believed that on this night the mothers walked close, listening. In modern practice, Modranik is often celebrated with a feast surrounded by chosen family, with candles lit for the divine feminine in all her forms. It is a night to honor mothers and mother figures, to bless the coming year with intention, and to cradle the spark of new light as it prepares to return. Modranik reminds us that even at the edge of the longest night, warmth lives in community and magic grows around shared tables. It is the quiet seed of hope before the solstice dawn.
And now we have Saturnalia, which is chaos, freedom, and reversal. Now let's journey south to the heart of the Roman Empire, where December brought not solemn reverence, but glorious, raucous chaos. Saturnalia, held from December 17th to the 23rd, was one of the most anticipated festivals of the Roman year, a time when the social order flipped, rules dissolved, and everyone, from senator to slave, celebrated in wild abandon. Saturnalia honored Saturn, the ancient god of agriculture, liberation, and time. In myth, Saturn ruled during a golden age when the earth gave freely and all people lived as equals. Once a year, Rome sought to recreate that golden age, if only for a week. The festival began with a public sacrifice at the Temple of Saturn, followed by a grand public banquet where all were welcome. But the true spirit of Saturnalia unfolded in homes and streets. Social hierarchies were temporarily suspended, slaves were freed from their duties, and in some households, served by their masters. Gambling, normally illegal, was permitted. People wore the pileus, a soft conical hat symbolizing freedom. The cry of "Oyo Saturnalia" rang out in toast and greetings, an invocation of the god and the spirit of misrule. At the center of many celebrations was the Lord of Misrule, a figure chosen by a lot to preside over the festivities. This mock king's word was law, however absurd. He might command guests to sing, dance, and wear their clothes backward, or speak only in rhyme. The Lord of Misrule embodied the
Carnivalesque.
I was getting there. Sorry. The Lord of Misrule embodied the carnivalesque spirit of Saturnalia, a temporary inversion that allowed people to release tension, laugh at authority, and experience the world upside down. Gift giving was also a beloved tradition. Romans exchanged siglaria, small figurines made of clay or wax, and wax candles called ciri, symbolizing the returning light. Gifts were often accompanied by playful poems or riddles. Even the simplest token carried meaning. It was a gesture of goodwill and connection in cold heart of winter. The food of Saturnalia was indulgent and abundant. Tables overflowed with roasted pork, sausages, honeyed wine, and mulsum, a spiced wine sweetened with honey and infused with pepper, saffron, and bay leaves. They were honey cakes, dates filled with nuts, and libum, a type of cheesecake offered to the gods. Fresh fruits were rare in December, so dried figs, raisins, and pomegranates took their place, each symbolizing prosperity and the hidden seeds of future growth. Saturnalia reminds us that the celebration can be subversive, that joy, laughter, and the breaking of rules are not frivolous. They are sacred acts of liberation. In honoring Saturn, the Romans honored the dream of equality, the necessity of release, and the wild, untamable energy that lives just beneath the surface of order.
Celtic winter traditions involved the Holly King and sacred plants. In the Celtic lands, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Brittany, December was not marked by a single grand festival, but by a deep, quiet reverence for the turning of the seasons and the spirits that walked the thinning veil. The Celts understood the year as a dance between light and dark, growth and rest. At the winter solstice, the Oak King, ruler of the waxing year, was said to be born, though he would not claim his throne until spring. Meanwhile, the Holly King, sovereign of the waning year and the dark months, held dominion over the land. His crown was made of holly, his cloak the deep green of winter's enduring life. Holly was sacred. Its sharp protective leaves and blood-red berries were seen as symbols of life's persistence, even in death's season. Druids wove holly into wreaths and garlands, hanging them over doorways to guard against malevolent spirits. It was considered unlucky to bring holly into the house before the solstice, but once the longest night had passed, it became a powerful ally. Mistletoe, the golden bough, held even greater sanctity. It was gathered by Druidic priests with a golden sickle on the 6th night of the new moon, never allowed to touch the ground. Mistletoe was seen as a bridge between worlds, neither of earth nor sky, growing on the sacred oak without roots. It was used in rituals of healing, fertility, and peace. To meet beneath the mistletoe was to be under the protection of the gods, and oaths sworn there could not be broken. Ivy, too, was honored, a symbol of the goddess and her winter aspect, winding and persistent, a reminder that life does not end but transforms. The Celts did not feast with the excess of Rome, but their tables were no less sacred. Hearth bread, baked with oats or barley, was the foundation of every meal. Porridge, sweetened with honey and scattered with nuts, honored the harvest stored away. Root vegetables, turnips, parsnips, onions, were roasted and shared, humble but nourishing. There was also braggot, a spiced honey ale, and wassail, a mulled cider offered to the apple trees in blessing. In some regions, a boar or stag was sacrificed and roasted, its meat shared communally, its spirit honored. Rituals centered on fire and storytelling. Bonfires were lit on hilltops to guide the sun's return. Families gathered to tell the old tales of the Cailleach, the veiled crone who ruled winter, and Brigid, the fire goddess, waiting to be reborn at Imbolc. Divination was common, scrying in water, reading patterns in ashes, or interpreting dreams to glimpse the year ahead. Celtic December was a season of stillness and watchfulness, of honoring the boundary between death and rebirth, and of trusting that the wheel would turn once more.
So now on to the gods and goddesses of the winter season. Winter is not empty. Though the earth sleeps and the trees stand bare, this is the season when certain deities come into their full power. Gods and goddesses who have governed the dark, the cold, the death that precedes rebirth. Let's meet them. So you have the Cailleach. Cailleach?
Mm-hmm. I know. Gotta love that Gaelic.
So you got the Cailleach. In Celtic tradition, she is the veiled hag, the crone of winter. Her staff freezes the ground, her breath brings the snow. She is both feared and revered, for she is not cruel, she is necessary. The Cailleach embodies the season of rest, the time when the land must lie fallow to renew itself. She teaches that death is not an ending but a transformation, and that stillness holds its own power.
Hell.
It's just hell?
It's just hell.
Okay. Hel. In Norse mythology, Hel is the goddess who rules the realm of the dead. Half her face is living, half skeletal. She is neither evil nor merciful. She simply is. In winter, when life retreats and the veil grows thin, Hel's presence is felt most strongly. She reminds us that death is part of the cycle, and that to fear her is to fear the very rhythm of existence. Frau Hulda, or Holly, a Germanic goddess associated with winter, spinners, and the spirit world. Hulda was said to shake her feathered bed, sending snow falling to the earth below. She rewarded the diligent and punished the lazy, and her sacred nights were marked by spinning, storytelling, and offering of bread and milk left at doorsteps. Hulda governed both the hearth and the wild, the boundary between home and the deep forest where spirits wandered. And you got Dionysus. Though we often think of him as a god of spraying, wine, and ecstasy, Dionysus also holds a winter aspect. The Romans honored him during December's Vermalia festival, celebrating his connection to the vine, dormant now, but holding life within. He represented the wild and untamed spirit that sleeps in the winter and erupts in spring. Wine, the blood of the vine, was poured in libations to honor his presence in the dark season. Then there's Baby Yaga.
Baba Yaga?
Baba Yaga. Baby Yaga. Then there's Baba Yaga. The Slavic tradition, this wild crone for the forest embodied the fearsome, liminal nature of winter. She lived in a hut that walked on chicken legs, surrounded by a fence of bones. She tested those who sought her wisdom and devoured the foolish. Baba Yaga represents the harsh truth of winter, that survival requires cunning, respect for the wild, and the courage to face what lurks in the shadows. Then you have Persephone and Hades. In Greek tradition, winter is the season when Persephone descends to the underworld to reign beside Hades. Her absence brings Demeter's grief and the barrenness of the land. Yet Persephone is not a prisoner, she is a queen. December honors her sovereignty over the shadowed realm and the seeds of transformation she carries within. Each of these deities teaches us something vital, that darkness is not evil, that death is not failure, that winter is the womb from which spring is born. To honor them is to honor the full cycle of life, not just growth and light, but decay, rest, and the deep magic of the unseen.
So, sacred foods and kitchen magic of Midwinter. Yes, in ancient times, food was never just fuel. It was medicine, magic, and communion. The things our ancestors ate in December were chosen not only for sustenance, but for symbolism, energy, and blessing. So let's explore what foods may have been on the pagan midwinter table.
That you probably didn't know that's also on yours.
Right? So we've already kind of discussed some of them. So we'll just go a little bit more in depth now. Bread baked in the shape of the staff of life, or in the shape of the sun, stars, or spirals. Yule bread often contained honey, dried fruit, and spices like cinnamon or cardamom. Baking bread together was an act of unity and trust. Some traditions baked a coin or charm into the loaf. Whoever found it was blessed with luck in the new year.
Ooh.
I know. I haven't done that yet.
My luck, I'd probably eat it.
That's why it's got to be big enough that if you take a bite, it's crunch.
And then I'd break a tooth.
Oh, yeah. Well. All right. Honey, representing the sweetness of life and the labor of bees, was stirred into cakes, drizzled over bread, and mixed into mead. It symbolized the golden light of the returning sun and the promise of abundance. Honey was also an offering to the gods and the spirits of the land. Ale and mead are fermented drinks that were sacred. They embodied transformation. Grain or honey changed into something potent and life-giving. Wassail, a spiced ale or cider, was carried to orchards and poured over the roots of apple trees in blessing. Toasts were made to ancestors, gods, and the community, and no cup was drunk without intention. Nuts, such as walnuts, hazelnuts, chestnuts. Oh my God.
Sorry, I couldn't hold that one in.
How much of this do I leave in?
Nuts.
Nuts, such as walnuts, hazelnuts, chestnuts, all symbols of hidden potential. Encased in hard shells, they represent the seed of future growth, dormant but alive. Nuts were roasted, cracked open by the fire, and shared as symbols of wisdom, protection, and the mysteries waiting to unfold. Roasted meats such as boar, goose, venison, the meat of winter feasts, was often the product of a sacred hunt. The animal spirit was honored before and after the kill, its flesh shared communally. To eat the boar was to take in Freyr's fertility and strength. To eat the stag was to honor the horned god and the wild. Root vegetables such as turnips, carrots, parsnips, and beets, these were foods that sustained people through winter, came from beneath the earth. These roots symbolized the deep nourishment of the dark season and the wisdom found in going inward. They were roasted, mashed, or added to our hearty stews. Apples and pomegranates, both fruits of the other world. Apples, sacred to many pagan traditions, were symbols of immortality and knowledge. Pomegranates, with their blood-red seeds, represented Persephone's journey and the hidden life within death. They were eaten reverently, each seed a prayer. Spices included cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, and ginger. Wow.
Start over.
Yep. Spices such as cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, and ginger were rare and precious. They warmed the body and were believed to carry protective, prosperity-drawing magic. Mulled wine and spiced cakes were not indulgences, but rituals of warmth and vitality in the coldest, darkest days. Every meal during the pagan December was an opportunity to connect with the sacred. To bless the food, honor its origins, and share it with intention was to weave magic into everyday life. It was, and still is, kitchen witchery at its most powerful.
So, December in the pagan world was never about a single story, a single god, or a single truth. It was a mosaic, a gathering of fire and feast, darkness and light, death and the quiet promise of return. Whether you light a Yule log, pour a toast to Saturn, hang holly over your door, or speak the name of Klich in the winter wind, you are participating in something ancient. You are remembering what December was before it was packaged, commercialized, and stripped of its wild magic.
The solstice teaches us that light is born from darkness, that rest is sacred, that in the coldest season we gather, we feast, we honor the gods, and we hold space for transformation.
So this December, as the nights grow long and the world grows still, consider what you want to honor. What do you want to release? What do you want to call back with the sun?
Thank you for journeying through the midwinter's magic with us. May your hearth be warm,
your table be abundant,
and your spirit aligned with the turning wheel.
Until next time,
walk gently,
live intentionally,
and remember the old ways
while building the new days.